Chapter 61 Lianyue enters the Divine Palace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the hut. Su Chang'e came back here, thinking of what happened just now. His face changed slightly. Fortunately, I rushed here in time, otherwise it would be disastrous if the master was asleep in the middle of the night and was defenseless, and the consequences would be disastrous. Young master. At this time, Lianyue on the bed saw that his face was not very good, and whispered, "Young master, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing." Su Chang'e just smiled faintly. It was at this time that he suddenly noticed that Lianyue had broken through the Divine Palace realm. How long has it been since we last met? I just went to the Water Curtain Cave once, and she has reached the Divine Palace. This aptitude is really enviable. You know, I can break through so quickly with the help of the system, but what about her? Unknowingly, she is about to catch up with me, as expected of the reincarnation of a saint. It is terrifying. Lianyue, it's so late, why haven't you slept yet? Su Chang'e touched her jade-white cheek and asked kindly. Lianyue buried her little head low, her voice was as soft as a mosquito. I'm waiting for the young master to come back. Hearing this, Su Chang'e's heart moved. Is this man so fond of me that he is waiting for me to come back like a little wife before going to bed? At this time, Lianyue added in a low voice, Lianyue doesn't know why, but I feel at ease only after the young master comes back. Her voice was very low, and her little head was buried even lower. Su Chang'e smiled and said, I know, now I'm back, you should go to sleep. Yeah. Lianyue lay on the bed and gradually fell asleep. Su Chang'e looked at her, and a system entry gradually appeared in front of him. Lianyue is sleeping, cultivation +1 +1 +1 +1 +1 +1 +1. Ah, that he sighed, really not knowing what to say. This wave is like picking up a treasure. What a huge profit. While he was happy, he was also thinking about the Dark Soul Emperor. The corners of his mouth slightly raised, revealing a strange arc, and he thought to himself, you have lived in vain. When the truth comes out, I don't know what expression you will show. Shaking his head, he dispelled the distracting thoughts in his mind and immediately took out a golden storage bag. This was just searched from Dao Quang. The moment Yi Qingyao appeared, he had already taken this thing and then ran away. Now is not the time to show his cards. He wants to wait until the martial arts competition to give the beautiful master a big surprise, shock her, make her scream, make her happy and excited. Soon, Su Chang'e searched the storage bag. As a death warrior, Dao Quang stored all assassination weapons in his storage bag. There were 2 daggers in total, both of which were earth-level spiritual weapons, with sharp cold light, like blood-sucking wolf teeth, which were very dazzling in the night. He took out one at random, then walked out, found a stone and cut it. Crack! The dagger cut the stone, and the stone suddenly burst into a crackling sound. Sparks flew, and was cut layer by layer, just like a knife cutting tofu. It was cut directly, without any effort. Fuck, awesome! Su Chang'e was overjoyed. Such an awesome dagger is undoubtedly a good thing for assassination. As soon as the word assassination flashed through his mind, he suddenly had an idea in his mind, turned his head and looked at Tiantai Peak, and said coldly, assassination, right? Humph, I can make you cry. Since he came to assassinate, he would also assassinate back, giving him a taste of his own medicine. You know, he has the Taichu Shadow Ghost Step. If he goes to assassinate, it will be a dimensionality reduction attack. Although this dagger is sharp, the one subsidized by the system will definitely be sharper. Let's swipe the subsidy first. Su Chang'e murmured, and then took out the jade bracelet, intending to awaken the Dark Soul Emperor. This time, he also put half a piece of top-grade spirit stone next to the bracelet. With a swish, the spirit stone was absorbed, and the figure of the Dark Soul Emperor appeared. Young man, did you get the pill? The first thing the Dark Soul Emperor did when he appeared was to care about the 1,000-year-old fortune pill. In his opinion, if Lianyue absorbs the pill, she will grow rapidly, and in time, the reward she brings to Su Chang'e will naturally be great. Then Su Chang'e's strength will certainly speed up, and the tide will rise. In this way, he will be closer and closer to the day of taking over the body. How can he not care about this? After listening to the words of the Dark Soul Emperor, Su Chang'e smiled coldly in his heart, and said without revealing his expression, "Take it, Su Lianyue has swallowed it." Knowing that things are going perfectly, the Dark Soul Emperor was overjoyed, clapping his hands and laughing, "Good. Good." Su Chang'e then said, "I still need the help of the senior to help me erase the fate residue on this dagger, and at the same time, like last time, create 2 new weapons." The Dark Soul Emperor directly agreed to do it, then took the dagger, pointed a point, and cut off the fate residue on it, then he raised his hand and pressed down, and a strong aura pressed down, and the daggers were immediately pressed into a ball of fine iron. In a moment, the 2 daggers were recast into 2 short swords. During the whole process, the Dark Soul Emperor was very careful. The stronger Su Chang'e became, the greater the benefits he would get from taking over the body in the future, so how could he not treat it with care? He didn't know that all his thoughts had been known by Su Chang'e. After the recast, the figure of the Dark Soul Emperor suddenly became dim, and he couldn't hold on again. He handed the short knife to Su Chang'e, and then reminded him, "Practice well, the sooner the better. Only when you are strong, money, women, status, and power will love you. Especially women, especially beautiful women. If you want to love them, you have to become stronger. Remember my words." After saying that, he ran out of spiritual power and fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 62, Gift of Treasure to the Beautiful Master, the Cloud-Stepping Pegasus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Chang'e put away the jade bracelet and sneered, "What you said is true, but what are your calculations? Do you think you don't know?" He didn't waste any time and began to look at the dagger. He saw that it was shining with silver light, and there was a sharp cold light coming towards his face, full of sharp coolness. Immediately, he named the 2 knives. One was called Lianyue knife and the other was called Yeni knife. He planned to give the Lianyue sword to the beautiful master, and the wild goose wing sword to Su Lianyue. Immediately, he put 2 knives on his body and entered the house. Since there is now an extra Su Lianyue, the bed space is a bit tight. This bed was not very big to begin with. It was a single bed, but now that there is an extra person, it suddenly seems not enough. Su Chang'e sat down on the bedside and meditated cross-legged. "Master. I'm so scared." Suddenly, Su Lianyue shouted several times in her sleep, and her white palm stretched out fiercely, placed on his body, and hugged his waist tightly. "Did you have a nightmare?" Su Chang'e frowned, then tucked the quilt for her, and said softly, "Don't be afraid, you are safe, go to sleep." Time passes by slowly, and time flies by overnight. On the morning of the next day, Su Lianyue woke up early and found that she was holding the young master's waist. Her cheeks immediately turned red. She hurriedly relaxed, and said in a panic, Young master, I didn't mean it." Su Chang'e smiled faintly, held up her hand, put a short knife in her palm, and said, "This weapon is given to you. You can use it to defend yourself if necessary." Self-defense. Su Lianyue murmured softly, deeply moved in her heart, and whispered, "Master, your kindness to Lianyue will never be forgotten by Lianyue. Her nightmare last night was very thrilling. She was whipped and kicked, but this morning, the young master gave her something to defend herself. He is really good to me." Su Chang'e didn't care what she did. He had other things to do, so he immediately said, "I'm leaving. I'll be back soon." "Yes." Su Lianyue nodded lightly. Walking through the house, Su Chang'e quickly arrived at Yi Qingyao's residence. He raised his eyes and glanced around. The body of the masked man in black had disappeared, and the traces of the fight on the wall had also disappeared without a trace. It must have been taken care of by the master. Enter the small courtyard. Yi Qingyao seemed to have been waiting for him for a long time. When he saw him coming, he stood up suddenly and said, "Disciple, please pay attention recently, you must be careful." Su Chang'e's heart moved and he asked, "What's wrong, master?" "Last night, a masked man in black came to kill him, but for some reason, he was killed by a figure in white. I'm worried that the masked man will go to you, so be careful." Yi Qingyao said worriedly. Hearing this, Su Chang'e smiled faintly. At this moment, Yi Qingyao looked at his figure and suddenly thought of something in his mind. My disciple seems to be wearing white clothes too. Suddenly, she felt that her disciple looked very similar to the figure in white from last night. Could it be the same person? She was startled by her thoughts and hurriedly shook her head to clear her mind. How is this possible? The disciple obviously cannot practice. Moreover, the masked man in black is a strong man in the cave heaven realm. How could my disciple be right? Su Chang'e came to her, took the Lianyue knife and put it in her hand, saying, "Master, this knife is called the Lianyue knife. It is extremely sharp and cuts the head like vegetables. I give it to you." Yi Qinyao was moved and took the short knife. When he unfolded it, he suddenly felt a sharp cold air blowing towards his face. The blade was as white as a work of art. Just by looking at the appearance, you can tell it's a good knife. Disciple, you give me good things as soon as you have them. It's so kind to me. Yi Qinyao's beautiful eyes were filled with brilliant light. Su Chang'e smiled faintly, hiding his name deeply. Winning hearts and receiving subsidies is a pleasure. Ah, by the way, Yi Qinyao suddenly had a flash of inspiration and said, "The monster has been bought for you. Here, that's it." As she spoke, she stretched out her slender jade fingers and pointed behind the rockery. Su Chang'e took a closer look and saw a horse lying on the rockery. The horse was very tall, as high as 2 meters, with red lava flowing all over its body, showing its noble bloodline. There were white clouds rising under its feet, as if it was about to ride on the clouds. Cloud riding Pegasus, that he blurted out. After traveling through 5 years, he naturally knows what this monster is. This thing is worth a city. Not only is it powerful, it can also fly on clouds. It is the monster that countless monks dream of. How about it? My teacher will treat you well, Yi Qinyao said with a smile. Yeah. Great. Su Chang'e smiled happily and immediately turned over. It was only after riding that he discovered that it was a mare with a very docile character. After riding it, there was no stubborn resistance, but instead it was very affectionate. As long as you like it. Seeing Su Chang'e happy, Yi Qinyao was also very happy. At the same time, Tiantai Peak, Du Sihai felt refreshed early in the morning. Today he is in a very happy mood and full of energy. Nothing else. Then Yi Qinyao has probably been killed, right? Call out. Suddenly, a man in black came outside the house and said in a deep voice, "Master, Dao Kuang's soul lamp is out." What? What did you say? Du Sihai was shocked, and his expression suddenly changed. What happened? Dao Kuang was so careful when doing things, and was discovered by Yi Qinyao? He was furious for a moment and roared, "What's going on? I secretly observed him last night and saw with my own eyes that he was killed by a figure in white. The figure in white was very powerful. The sword madman didn't even survive his attack, and was directly hit by the knife on his neck. It can be seen from this that he is a tall man." The man in black said in a deep voice, "Master, my subordinates speculate that Lihua Peak is not as useless as it appears. There should be Gao hiding in it, crouching tiger, hidden dragon." Joke. Du Sihai slapped the table with his hand and roared, "How is it possible? There is clearly a master and disciple in Lihua Peak, so how could a high-ranking person suddenly appear?" The man in black said, "This subordinate is also very strange, but it really happened. Even if I don't want to believe it, I still." As soon as he said this, a disciple suddenly came running from a distance. The man in black's eyes narrowed, and his figure disappeared instantly. "Master, Master," the person who came was a young disciple. He looked panicked and reported, "The sect leader asked you to come over." Boom. Du Sihai was shocked. Could it be that Yi Qinyao sent Dao Kuang's body to the sect leader, and was planning to rake him down? What bad news is coming one after another? His expression gradually changed, and he yelled angrily, "You are in a panic, how can you behave like this? Get out!" The young disciple didn't know why he was so angry, but he didn't dare to say more and left in a hurry. Then, Du Sihai took a breath of cold air and headed towards the main peak. Chapter 63, 382,000 times critical strike, head-severing knife, Youjun knife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 63 382,000 times critical strike, beheaded, Youjun. Not long after, Du Sihai returned from the main peak. Lianyue asked him to go over because of the matter of interrogating Xuanhuan's body. But Du Sihai insisted that he didn't know him, and kept saying that he didn't know and had never seen him. Lianyue had no choice but to let him back. Although Du Sihai came back by luck, he was still angry to death. Because of this incident, Lianyue ordered that from now on the 9 peaks would be inspected every night by the Law Enforcement Hall. 10 members of the Law Enforcement Hall would form a group and each peak would be inspected to prevent something like this from happening again. As soon as this move was made, the difficulty for Du Sihai to carry out secret operations in the future would reach the level of hell. This news was quickly reported to Lihua Peak by the disciples who sent the order. At this time, Yiqinyao was drinking tea and chatting with Su Chang'e. When she heard the news, she couldn't help but sigh. Du Sihai is really cunning. She actually expected that the masked man in black should be sent by Du Sihai, so he handed it over directly to the sect leader and asked him to find trouble for Du Sihai, but they didn't expect that Du Sihai's dead pig was not afraid of being scalded by boiling water, and he didn't know anything about it when he bit it to death. This is a bit annoying. But from now on, there will be patrols by the law enforcement hall every night, which makes it easier to worry. Su Chang'e listened and sneered in his heart. Du Sihai was restrained by the law enforcement palace. What a relief. But, Du Sihai didn't do anything dirty, but because the of the law enforcement hall is ineffective against him, he just hid in the shadows. If he killed, he would just hide in a shadow. It would be useless even if the law enforcement hall came. Master, there is nothing else to do. I will leave first. Su Chang'e stood up and left. Well, let's go. Although Yiqinyao was reluctant to give up, she didn't stop him. Following the way he came, Su Chang'e quickly returned to the hut, just got off the horse and the system subsidy arrived on time. Bite. You send the prefecture-level spiritual soldiers, Lianyue, prefecture-level spiritual soldiers, Yanqi, and the billion subsidy takes effect, triggering a super-critical hit. This super-critical hit multiplier, 382,000 times. Congratulations to the host for getting Heavenly Spirit Soldier, Severed Head. Heavenly Spirit Soldier, Youjun. 2 shorts. Su Chang'e's eyes lit up. He took out the 2 knives and saw that they were half the size of an arm and slightly longer than a dagger. Their bodies were arc-shaped, and their blades shone with cold light, and were extremely sharp. The system sounds, Severed Head, the weapon of an assassination force in the last era. It is extremely sharp, can cut through iron like mud, and can cut through even the strongest diamond effortlessly. Youjun, corresponding to the origin of the severed head, these two are a pair. Back then, the assassination force used this pair to assassinate an immortal king. So scary. Su Chang'e's eyes narrowed slightly. These two are so awesome that they even killed the immortal king. Moreover, this is the secret box used exclusively by assassination forces. It seems to coincide with his plan to assassinate Tiantai Peak. In fact, Su Chang'e's dragon slaying was indeed a good one if he faced the enemy head-on, but there are also disadvantages. That is, the dragon slayer is too big and bulky. It is suitable for frontal fighting but not suitable for assassination, and these 2 short swords are extremely small and compact. If you kill someone, you can just put them in your pocket and then leave the scene quickly. They are perfect assassination weapons. When facing the enemy head-on, use Dragon Slayer. If you want to carry out assassination, use these 2 shorts. Su Chang'e's eyes flashed. Now there is nothing missing. For frontal fighting, there is Dragon Slayer, and for assassination, there is Severed Head and Lord Yu. Perfect. Immediately, he found a big stone and tried to wave it. Crack. The blade is like tofu on the stone, directly opening the stone, and a cross-section is revealed in just a moment. It's so sharp. Su Chang'e was overjoyed. As expected of someone specializing in assassination. Next, he found a tree to tie up the cloud walker Pegasus, then went into the house to say hello to Su Lianyue, and left again. He is going to Tiantai Peak to conduct an assassination. Now that the weird old man has come to kill them, how sorry would he be if he didn't fight back? Now he can't trouble me anymore. it's my turn to trouble him. Soon, Su Chang'e crossed the iron lock bridge and stepped into Tiantai Peak. The moment he stepped off the chain bridge, he hit directly in the shadow of a wall. After a while, a disciple passed by, and Su Chang'e hid in his shadow. The disciple didn't realize it and walked quickly deeper into the peak. It didn't take long before he arrived in front of an iron tower. The tower is 10,000 feet high, like a heavenly sword reaching into the clouds. This is the Cultivation Tower of Tiantai Peak, with a total of 9,099 floors. Each floor contains a huge number of monsters, corresponding to various realms. Many disciples of Tiantai Peak will come here to practice after completing their cultivation. It is a great place. It is truly a perfect place for cultivation, but now, at this time, many disciples were coming and going in front of the Cultivation Tower, looking excited. Senior brother son, practice harder and strive to win the position of Holy Son when the time comes. Ha ha ha, everyone is the same. Time does not wait, we have to race against time to practice, come on. Disciples swarmed into the tower one by one, and soon there were sounds of fighting inside. Su Chang'e's brows gradually wrinkled. Chapter 64, Making Huge Profits Without Bloodshed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 64, Bingyu Blood Blade makes a lot of money. Inside the training tower, the sounds of all kinds of fighting could be heard. There were roars of tigers, roars of wild leopards, and shouts from the disciples. Su Chang'e felt the enthusiasm of Tiantai Peak disciples from these voices. They were really racing against time to practice, full of energy and enthusiasm. Boom! Suddenly, there was an explosion inside. Immediately afterwards, congratulations sounded. Congratulations to senior brother son for your breakthrough. The words just fell, there was another sound of breakthrough. Boom! 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 In just a few breaths, dozens of breakthrough sounds sounded one after another. The training tower is a treasured place for training. The monsters inside all have weak cultivation levels. They can only be used to train the disciples, allowing them to grow and sublime in battle. The essence and blood of the monsters can be absorbed by the disciples. Many disciples punched the demonic beast with one punch, then followed up with the movement technique, and placed their palms on the demonic beast. With a buzz sound, they began to absorb the demonic beast's essence and blood. Within a cup of tea, the dead monster was sucked into a shriveled corpse. The essence of flesh and blood was refined into the bodies of Tiantai Peak disciples and tempered into their own strength. This breakthrough speed is very fast. As Su Chang'e listened outside, a sense of urgency suddenly arose in his heart. The disciples of Tiantai Peak made such a crazy breakthrough and their speed was extremely fast. If I am slow, will I be overtaken by them? These people are so fast and motivated. It seems that I have to be faster than them. He secretly clenched his fists. At this moment, the disciple he lurked in the shadow also stepped into the training tower. Su Chang'e will naturally go in. There are many people inside, so it is suitable for assassination. There was a building in the distance, which formed a shadow due to the refraction of sunlight. With a thought in his mind, Su Chang'e teleported directly into the shadow. This building is large and is the residence of ordinary disciples. For example, many people have gone to the training tower to practice in a hurry, so there are no people here. Su Chang'e suddenly had an idea. Hey, why should I steal one from him? He tiptoed upstairs and then rummaged through the boxes. After a while, successfully found some scattered spiritual stones and techniques, as well as some earth-level common soldiers. He took out the storage bag and took all the orders. After emptying this building, he quickly disappeared into the shadows and went to another building. Soon, the building was evacuated, the windows creaked, and all the stolen hair was left. Next, he was running between high-rise buildings, committing crimes one by one. Along the way, I dug 3 feet into the ground. No matter what I needed, as long as it looked valuable, I moved everything away. At the same time, in the training tower, the disciples of Tiantai Peak who were speeding up their training all felt a little bit satisfied. Their hearts suddenly became empty, as if something had been stolen by others, and they became depressed. Maybe it's an illusion. They shook their heads and continued to indulge in the fighting. 1 year is said to be a long time, but a short time is short. Hurry up and improve your ability to get down to business. With this in mind, these people continued to practice. On the other side, Su Chang'e quickly cleared out all the attics. A total of 300,000 high-grade spiritual stones and more than 90,000 top-grade spiritual stones were obtained. There were countless more weapons, including yellow level, mysterious level and low-level ones. In addition, there were dozens of boxes of high-grade elixirs. In addition, he also found many strange gadgets in these attics, such as broken stone slabs, yellowed parchment rolls, and weapons broken into half. These are all rubbish and of no use, but Su Chang'e took a look, and a light suddenly flashed in his eyes. According to the routines in the novels of the previous life, the more weird things and trash things, that's more likely to hide some big secret. Thinking of this, he accepted the order. Ha ha ha, I've done it before, I've done it this time. After collecting the things, Su Chang'e was delighted. This was obtained by Blooded Blade. It was a huge profit. Immediately, he patted his butt and left gracefully. Where did the little thief come from? But when he walked to the door, a person suddenly came in. This was an elder with a tall build, a face as sharp as a knife, and a sense of majesty between his brows. Su Chang'e's eyes narrowed and he said, "You." "I, Huang Feihu, are you, that little transparent person from Lihua Peak?" The elder also recognized him at this time, snorted coldly and said, "You are so brave, you dare to steal to my Tiantai Peak, you are really looking for death." Boom! The elder came out directly. A steel whip carried a terrifying momentum and whipped toward Su Chang'e. When the whip passed by, the air suddenly emitted a sonic boom. Like thunder exploding. Su Chang'e smiled coldly, and hurriedly ran the Taichu Yin and Yang ghost steps, easily going around behind Huang Feihu, and then emerged from his shadow. Subsequently, with a wave of his sword, he cut off his head. Stab Lala! The head-cutting knife was extremely sharp, even the space was cut open, and the electric light struck Huang Feihu's neck. Huang Feihu avoided being hit, and his neck was instantly slashed. His head flew up on the spot, and blood spurted out. His head spun in mid-air, his eyes filled with disbelief, and finally he hit the ground with a thud, and his body died. After killing him, Su Chang'e put away his head-severing knife, fumbled around Huang Feihu's body for a while, and successfully fished out a storage bag. He then dragged him into the shadow of the wall, and then moved through various shadows, and finally came to the back and threw his body behind. This was done, Su Chang'e sneaked into the shadow and left. Huang Feihu died quietly, and no one noticed. Chapter 65 I Accept Your Challenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tiantai Peak, Iron Lock Bridge. Su Chang'e swaggered forward, heading towards Lihua Peak, because the shadow area of the Iron Lock Bridge under the refraction of sunlight is very small and cannot accommodate a person, so he can only show up. He also checked the storage bag found from Huang Feihu's body. It contained hundreds of thousands of high-grade spiritual stones, a book of magic spells, and several other weapons and pills. For an elder, his family is naturally very wealthy. What made Su Chang'e happy was that the method was extremely terrifying. It was a bodybuilding method called Dragon Elephant Dominant Body. It was practiced to the extreme, and the body was as strong as steel, and could be penetrated by swords and guns. Okay, use this item to find master to get subsidies. He lifted his feet and walked towards the opposite side. At this moment, there was a sudden explosion from the Tiantai Peak Cultivation Tower, and a group of disciples flew out from it, standing in the air, with thick aura rippling around them. Holy crap, the people from Tiantai Peak have broken through again. Are they so scary? Hiss. This speed, so fast. Oh, I hope I won't touch them then. When the disciples from other peaks sensed this aura, they all looked up with fear on their faces. Su Chang'e turned around and glanced at the group of disciples, but didn't take it seriously and walked on his own. Just after taking 2 steps, I was suddenly stopped. Hey, little transparent girl, stop right here. Su Chang'e turned around and saw that the person speaking was a young man wearing black clothing. His face was as sharp as a knife and an axe, and he looked extremely fierce. He just stood high in the air, looking down at himself. What's wrong with you? Su Chang'e understood what he wanted to do. Of course there is something. The young man glanced at him contemptuously and sneered, little transparent, listen to me. When the martial arts tournament comes, I want to fight with you. Do you dare to accept it? As soon as this statement came out, there was an uproar all around. Huang Jiulong, you are so strong in cultivation, why are you bullying others? Su Chang'e is just a little transparent person. Is it interesting for you to bully a little transparent person? Yes, if you want to bully, you should find someone decent to bully. Junior brother Su can cultivate. If you bully him, what's the difference between bullying him and killing an ant? Wrong. As we all know, junior brother Su has been unable to cultivate since he has been a member of the sect for 4 years. Huang Jiulong, do you feel ashamed for bullying such a person? Many of Feng's disciples were worried about Su Chang'e, and few of them tried to persuade Su Chang'e not to agree. You must know that Huang Jiulong is very capable. His ability is well known in Tiantai Peak. Among all the disciples in Tiantai Peak, he is the most capable. He is a powerful man in the Divine Palace realm. To kill Su Chang'e, I am afraid it only takes one finger. Listening to the scoldings around him, Huang Jiulong's face turned red and angry, and he shouted coldly, "You know nothing. This is the fate of the Peak Master. As long as this little transparent person dies, I can be promoted to an inner disciple." What? As soon as this statement came out, there was an uproar all around. Do Sihai actually suffered such a fate? Then do the many disciples of Tiantai Peak now regard junior brother Su as a fat sheep? For a moment, many people looked at each other in confusion, and their eyes on Su Chang'e became pitiful. Alas, being stared at by an entire peak would probably make him miserable. Here, Su Chang'e slapped his forehead and suddenly realized. This is a conspiracy. That strange old man was under the control of the law enforcement hall, and he was able to do something dirty, so he wanted to use the martial arts tournament to kill himself in an honest way. The fists and kicks of the martial arts tournament are ruthless, life and death are determined by fate, wealth and honor are in the sky, and if someone dies, the sect will pursue it. That strange old man wants to kill himself. If you pass, how can I be afraid? Su Chang'e's waist was straight and he absolutely bowed his head. While whispering, he also sneered, looking at Huang Jiulong in the sky like a fool. Huang Jiulong was a little embarrassed by what he saw. Who knew that Su Chang'e could kill even the elders quickly, let alone his mere disciple? Moreover, Su Chang'e even killed the dead soldiers raised by the strange old man, so how could he be afraid of him? Is the Divine Palace realm very strong? Su Chang'e has already surpassed the 2 realms of the Divine Palace. Huang Jiulong, how dare I? Su Chang'e raised his head and shouted, I just want to remind you, don't regret it when the time comes. Huang Jiulong was startled when he heard such harsh words. He didn't expect Su Chang'e to have such a reaction. He knew where this little transparent man got his confidence. Many people around him were also stunned by Su Chang'e's words. They felt so deeply disbelieving that they could hardly believe their ears. Junior brother Su actually agreed to a date with Huang Jiulong. Darling, does he have his own confidence? Huang Jiulong quickly came to his senses, laughed loudly, and said decisively, don't worry, if I regret it, then I will be a dog. That's what you said. Su Chang'e sneered and left immediately. Clinker had just taken 2 steps when he was stopped again. I saw a dark shadow flash in front of me, and a gloomy face blocked the way. He, little transparent, you seem to be very confident. How about you also make a date with me? The person who came was a grey-robed disciple who was also from Tiantai Peak. His name was Wang Wei. He was a bully and would have a hand in everything. Wang Wei, a scumbag, actually bullied junior brother Su. Chu Shui walked out at this time, feeling worried for Su Chang'e. The faces of everyone else also turned angry, and their chests were filled with righteous indignation. Wang Wei didn't have much strength, and his cultivation was far behind Huang Jiulong. His favorite thing to do is to bully some new disciples for fun. Now that Su Chang'e was asked to fight by name by Huang Jiulong, he also wanted to take the opportunity to shine. Su Chang'e glanced at him and sneered, okay, I accept your invitation to fight. When the time comes, I will destroy you with one punch. Wang Wei raised his head high and looked confident. I'll wait. Su Chang'e finished his sentence and returned directly to Lihua Peak. he still had business to attend to, so naturally he couldn't waste time on these two idiots looking for death. Along a road, Su Chang'e soon arrived in front of Yi Qinyao's door. Pushing the door open, I saw Yi Qinyao leisurely sipping tea there, very satisfied. Su Chang'e took a look and felt quite speechless. For the past 4 years, the beautiful master has always been in such a miserable state that other peaks would look up to her if she wanted to. Extraordinary people live for themselves, and they live for others to see. When the martial arts tournament comes, I will make everyone look at Lihua Peak with admiration. Su Chang'e secretly clenched his fist, then walked forward, handed the thing out, and said, "Master, this is Dragon Elephant Overlord body, I give it to you." Yi Qinyao was slightly startled, and then said, "Disciple, every time you come here to give me treasures. All these little things, I have almost become a private treasure house by you." Su Chang'e smiled faintly and said in his heart, "Then have I become a treasure house within a treasure house?" Yi Qinyao accepted the method, and then said worriedly, "Disciple, what happened with Huang Jiulong and Wang Wei? Are you too emotional?" Naturally, she heard what happened just now. Su Chang'e said lightly, "Master, please don't worry, when the time comes, I will make their faces swollen." After saying that, he lifted his feet and left, leaving only a handsome back. Chapter 66, The Body Becomes Holy, the 8th Heavenly Dragon Hegemony Body Art, Entering the Realm O. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 66, The Physical Body is Sanctified, the Heavenly Dragon Overlord Body Technique is adopted, and one enters the realm of heaven and human beings. Just walked out of the courtyard. System subsidies arrive on time. Bite. You sent a mysterious level skill, Dragon Elephant Hegemony Body Skill, and the billion subsidy took effect, triggering a super critical strike. This super critical hit multiplier, 300,000 and 40,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining, dominates the body art. The Tianlong Overlord Body Technique. Su Chang'e's eyes lit up and he was overjoyed. It seems that this time it is a subsidy for quality. The system sounded immediately, dominates the body, a heaven-level bodybuilding technique. In ancient times, there were who were entrenched in. Each one had a holy realm cultivation level, which was extremely terrifying. This bodybuilding technique was taught by the. There are 30 levels of the most powerful and overwhelming methods to practice. If you practice to the extreme, your body will become holy. Sanctification of the body. Su Chang'e's eyelids twitched and he was almost frightened. My physical body is already very tyrannical, but who would have thought that this technique would be even more tyrannical, and it could directly make my physical body become a saint. Awesome. Once the body is sanctified, won't it become completely invincible? He took a deep breath and took out the Tianlong Tyrant Body Technique. It's so heavy, that as soon as he got it in his hand, he couldn't help but his eyes narrowed. This is a yellowed ancient Taoist scripture, with the atmosphere of ancient times flowing through it, very vicissitudes of life. It looks like a thin book, but when you hold it in your hand, it actually weighs 10,000 kilograms. This is too scary. Su Chang'e didn't waste time, immediately entered the house and started practicing. In the sect, there are crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Who knows if any hidden secrets will surface during the martial arts competition, so he must improve his strength as soon as possible. Mr. As soon as she entered the house, Su Lianyue immediately greeted her, looking at Su Chang'e with bright eyes. Su Chang'e knew that she needed warmth, so he chatted with her for a while. During this period, he took her down the mountain to buy a lot of delicious food and a few changes of clothes. Su Lianyue was deeply moved, a warm current arose in her heart, and she felt very happy. Time passes by slowly, and a day flies by in a blink of an eye. By this time, the sky was getting dark, and a bright moon hung high on the branches. In the small room, Su Chang'e sat cross-legged, carefully comprehending the Tianlong Hegemon body technique. As his understanding deepened, a layer of silvery white light gradually appeared on his body surface, as if covered with a layer of silver armor, shining brightly. Hey, sir, you are actually a pure body. At a certain moment, Su Lianyue suddenly spoke. Su Chang'e's heart moved, and he immediately asked, "How did you tell?" His physique has been washed by the marrow-cleansing holy pill. There are no impurities in his body and it is extremely transparent. No matter what he absorbs, he gets twice the result with half the effort. This is the way to practice. Lianyue doesn't know. Lianyue couldn't see through it before, but now that he has broken through so many realms, he can see it somehow. Lianyue came closer, her bright eyes blinking. Su Chang'e nodded. Lianyue is indeed a saint, he can see things that many people can't see at a glance. This is a great good thing for me. If you encounter someone with a special physique in the future, just let Lianyue take a look, and you will know all the details about him, know yourself and the enemy, and win the battle. Immediately, he closed his eyes and practiced quietly. First floor. The 10th floor. The 15th floor. The 20th floor. The 30th floor. Soon, Su Chang'e's understanding of the Tianlong Hegemon body technique reached the top level, as if it came naturally, without any feeling of sluggishness. The moment he reached the top floor, a strong and powerful breath burst out from his body, sweeping across all directions like a tornado. Boom! The terrifying fluctuations spread rapidly and shot straight into the sky. The vast fluctuations were like a vast galaxy, sweeping across the sky and covering thousands of miles. For a time, vast fluctuations swept through the air that was thousands of miles away. Countless people were stunned and felt that the air flow was unusual. There seemed to be an extremely terrifying breath flowing in the air, vast and deep, spreading in all directions. At this moment, Su Chang'e became a saint physically. He could feel that his body had undergone tremendous changes. Every piece of flesh, every cell, and every drop of essence and blood had undergone earth-shaking transformation. It was more powerful, plump and round than before, and seemed to contain infinite energy. Endless power. How terrifying is that for a saint? But now, although his cultivation has not reached the holy realm, his physical body is already the body of a saint. Crack! He clenched his fist gently, and his bones and joints suddenly erupted with a harsh explosion, like thunder, deafening. After the physical body was sanctified, the cultivation level began to skyrocket. The cave world is broken. Dragon Transformation Realm. The first level of Dragon Transformation Realm. Second level of Dragon Transformation Realm. The fifth level of Dragon Transformation Realm. The 7th level of Dragon Transformation Realm. Transforming Dragon Realm Chongshan. After the Cave Heaven Realm, there is the Dragon Transformation Realm. Su Chang'e's physical body became a saint, and his power was fed back, directly feeding his cultivation to the Dragon Transformation Realm. If this level of cultivation goes out, it is enough to sweep away some remote sect forces. However, not yet. The cultivation base is still rising rapidly and cannot stop at all. After the Dragon Transformation Realm, there is the Heavenly Human Realm. Boom! The shackles of heaven and man in the body were directly shattered, and the cultivation level soared rapidly. Heaven and Man Realm First Level. Heaven and Man Realm Third Level. Heaven and Man Realm Fifth Level. Heaven and Man Realm Seventh Level. Heaven and Man Realm 5th level. My dear, you are so strong. Su Lianyue sensed the breath of heaven and man, her pupils suddenly widened, and she said in shock, the flesh body is perfect, reaching heaven and man. Su Chang'e smiled faintly and said, yes, whoever bullies you in the future, I will punch him to death. The two were talking and laughing in the house, unaware that someone outside had already been shocked. In front of the gate of Lihua Peak, there were 10 burly figures patrolling here, all of them were strong. Men from the law enforcement hall. When they patrolled here, they suddenly sensed a terrifying breath wave rising to the sky, and even the airflow in front of them became slightly abnormal, and there was a sound of electric current coming from the air, which was extremely terrifying. This shocked them so much that they lost their voices. Hiss. Who has mastered the magic? This breath. Even I feel palpitations, so scary. Hiss. The breath came from Lihua Peak. It was probably someone from Lihua Peak, most likely Master Yi. Master Yi? Great. Great. I was wondering how Master Yi could be so lazy. It turns out that he has been working hard in an invisible place. Amazing. That's not right. Isn't there only Master Yi and Lihua Peak? And Su Chang'e? Could it be him? Don't be funny. Junior brother Su can't practice. You know that. These people were shocked for a full 10 minutes, then they saluted Lihua Peak respectfully, then retreated and went to inspect other places. At the same time, in the courtyard, Yi Qinyao was very shocked. Who is it? She could clearly sense a terrifying wave sweeping over, rushing straight into the sky, faintly making the air flow send out a sonic boom, extremely terrifying. She walked out of the room and looked up. She happened to see the people from the law enforcement hall leaving, and she suddenly realized, muttering, it turned out to be them, no wonder. It's the law enforcement hall. That's not surprising. The law enforcement hall is a powerful existence in the sect, giving people a very tyrannical impression, and everyone has a very strong cultivation. If they go out, they are enough to establish a sect. Chapter 67, Super Critical Strike, the Starry Sky Sword, the Sky High Void Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the hut, after the breakthrough, Su Chang'e exhaled a long breath of turbid air. He felt a huge force rolling inside his body, surging like a deep sea. The strength of his body reached an incredible level. He felt that his body was like cast iron. No, it was harder than iron, and it was impossible to describe it in words. Anyway, it was extremely hard, as solid as a rock, and as indestructible as a copper wall. If he punched it now, I don't know how terrible the damage would be. Hey, Lianyue doesn't seem to have any skills yet. Suddenly, Su Chang'e thought of something, and his eyes condensed slightly. Although Lianyue's cultivation level was improving rapidly, she didn't practice any skills, she just had cultivation level, like a blank sheet of paper. This is definitely not okay. Between cultivators, it is indeed possible to suppress each other with realm, but in many cases, many cultivators often practice some extremely terrifying skills to kill across borders, even if their cultivation is lower than that of the opponent. There are many who can kill back because of the very powerful skills they practice. In his previous life, Su Chang'e read novels, and I don't know how many such cases he had seen, so now, he took a look at Su Lianyue and prepared to give her a few skills to practice. In this way, when the martial arts competition begins, the chances of winning will be greater. At the same time, you will also gain a lot of goodwill. Say it and do it. Su Chang'e immediately took out a skill and handed it over, saying, Lianyue, this skill is for you, take it for self-defense. That this is the immortal golden body art. Although the skills subsidized by the system will not be subsidized if they are given away, but now he and Su Lianyue have been tied together for a long time, and they live together, so it's nothing to give them away. This. Young master, what kind of martial arts is this? So terrifying. Su Lianyue's fingertips touched the immortal golden body art, and she was immediately shocked by the mighty breath coming from it. She felt as if her heartbeat had missed a beat, and the breath was so strong that it made her heart tremble twice. In just a moment, she understood that this must be an extremely terrifying martial arts. Young master actually gave her such a precious martial arts. For a moment, her heart was touched, and tears of gratitude flowed from her eyes. Don't cry, it won't look good if you cry. Su Chang'e carefully wiped away the tears from her eyes, and then briefly explained to her the peculiarities of this martial arts, and then began to supervise her practice. Since he had practiced it once, he had a deep understanding of this technique, so it was natural for him to be familiar with it when he taught it to others. Soon, Su Lianyue began to practice. Time passed by minute, gradually. A vast breath flowed around her body, which was extremely deep, and her physical strength increased steadily. She was the reincarnation of a saint, but she had not yet awakened her memory, but the power of the saint in her soul had not weakened at all. Practicing this technique would be thousands of times faster than ordinary people. Time passed slowly, and an hour passed in the blink of an eye. At a certain moment, Su Lianyue slowly opened her eyes, and a gleam of light flashed in her eyes. The immortal golden body technique had been cultivated to the top level by her. Her physical body had undergone a great transformation, and she felt like she had been reborn. My current body is as strong as a rock. Su Lianyue carefully observed her changes and was very excited, but she was more grateful to the young master. She knew that this was all thanks to the young master Su. If it weren't for the young master, she would have been beaten to death long ago. How could she have achieved such a transformation? In the future, she must be grateful to the young master. Young master, from now on, Lianyue is willing to stay by your side forever, be your maid, and serve you for the rest of my life. Su Lianyue bowed and said softly. Su Chang'e was not a hypocritical person, so he naturally agreed and said, okay, but it is far from enough for you to practice one technique. If you want to catch up with me, you must try to practice a few more sword techniques. He took out a few more sword techniques and handed them to Su Lianyue. There are dozens of these skills, all of which were obtained from Tiantai Peak. Most of them are some profound self-defense techniques, such as Kun Do Divine Sword, Lu Ren Divine Sword, Void Divine Sword, and so on. These swordsmanship is very powerful, not only can be used for self-defense, but also for killing. Su Lianyue lowered her head to take these swordsmanship, her little face was full of excitement and gratitude, and she put all the kindness of the young master to her in her heart. Immediately, she followed Su Chang'e's instructions and started practicing non-stop. On Su Chang'e's side, after the things were given away, the system subsidies also arrived on time. Ding! You gave away the Xian-level swordsmanship, Kun Do Divine Sword, the Xian-level swordsmanship, Lu Ren Divine Sword. The 10 billion subsidy is effective, triggering an overcritical strike. This overcritical strike multiple, 180,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Heaven-level swordsmanship, Zhu Tian Xingdo Sword. Heaven-level swordsmanship, Lu Mai Divine Sword. Heaven-level swordsmanship, Pai Lai Divine Sword. Heaven-level swordsmanship, Ling Xiao Dongshu Divine Sword. The compensation this time is very generous, and most of them are heaven-level swordsmanship. Su Chang'e listened and smiled happily. I have to say, this kind of subsidy feeling is really great. The next day, Su Chang'e sneaked into Tiantai Peak just after dawn. He spent the whole night last night practicing all the sword techniques subsidized by the system to the top level, and mastered dozens of unique skills, but he used a knife, and he didn't have a sword. Similarly, although Su Lianyue practiced several sword techniques, she didn't have a sword to use. So the purpose of sneaking into Tiantai Peak this time was to find a good sword. Then give it to Su Lianyue to use for subsidies, but he didn't like ordinary swords, so this time it must be a good sword. He planned to see if he could get any chance. P.S. A reader left a message saying that he liked this book very much, and the author would like to say thank you here. Chapter 68, A Chance Against All Odds, A Heavenly Spiritual Weapon, The Heavenly Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the shadow of a big tree on Tiantai Peak, a series of whispers were heard. Senior, has that disciple had any chance recently? A small chance, but it's very ordinary, not worth going. What about the brother in green clothes in the distance? Not bad, but it's a bit far away, the effort is not comparable to the reward. What about the brother sitting on the stone? Ordinary. These two voices were related to Su Chang'e and Dark Soul Emperor. On the way here just now, Su Chang'e had already awakened the Dark Soul Emperor with half a spiritual stone, then he asked him to use his magical power to turn into a grain of sand and hide it in his palm. While talking to the Dark Soul Emperor, Su Chang'e sneered in his heart, the Dark Soul Emperor is so stupid. He is exploited by himself every day and doesn't know it. He is really stupid. Suddenly, a black-robed disciple came from a distance. This disciple came straight to the tree and sat down cross-legged. Su Chang'e's pupils condensed slightly. This disciple, actually Xuanhuan. Damn it, who the hell killed my brother? Xuanhuan roared angrily, and a violent pressure suddenly rushed out of his body. In an instant, the surrounding strong wind howled, the big trees swayed wildly, and the earth shook. Xuanhuan was almost angry to death, and he didn't even have the mood to practice. His brother Xuanhuan was killed, and the murderer has not been found until now. You know, he is an inner disciple, who dares to touch his brother. But his brother was killed silently like this. Damn it! How can this be? Xuanhuan was furious and exploded. In the shadow, Su Chang'e covered his mouth and laughed secretly. I like to see him getting angry but unable to do anything about it. Here, the Dark Soul Emperor glanced at Xuanhuan and then made some deductions. After a while, he was delighted and said to Su Chang'e in a voice transmission, "Young man, this man has a great opportunity. He will go down the mountain in 2 hours and buy a yellow-level ordinary weapon at a blacksmith shop in Tianhe City at a bargain price. That is a heavy black iron sword, named Pishui sword." After he got the Pishui sword, he didn't care and went straight back to the sect. 3 days later, he used this sword to chop a hard rock. After one move, the rock was unscathed, but the Pishui sword broke on the spot. He was about to complain about the quality, but suddenly found a secret buried inside this ordinary weapon. The ordinary weapon is only a surface phenomenon. In fact, the ordinary weapon is empty inside, and a heaven-level spiritual weapon is hidden, Yijian sword. Huh? Su Chang'e raised his eyelids. Yijian sword. It turned out to be Yijian sword. The BGM of Yijian Tulong suddenly sounded in my mind. If Yijian is not available, who can compete with him? Oh my God, this is a precious sword. The Dark Soul Emperor deduced for a while, and then continued. After he got the Yijian sword, his overall strength skyrocketed. During the martial arts competition, he crossed the border to kill, defeated several Tianjiao in a row, and suppressed them completely. Su Chang'e's pupils shrank suddenly, and said, "I know, but now, this sword belongs to me." That it's conceivable that Xuanhuan can suppress so many Tianjiao after getting the sword, and it would be bad if he could suppress me. This kind of suppression must not happen to me. I must not let it develop. I must get the Yijian sword before Xuanhuan. Young man, I don't have enough spiritual power, I'll sleep first, you have to go quickly and get the Yijian sword. After the Dark Soul Emperor finished speaking, he fell into a deep sleep due to lack of spiritual power. Su Chang'e smiled strangely, then teleported to another shadow and left here silently. After he left, Xuanhuan was still cursing here, full of anger. Lihua Peak, Hut, Su Chang'e returned here and took Su Lianyue to Tianhe City. The reason why he took Su Lianyue with him was to help Su Lianyue get the sword this time. He will then brush a better subsidy. The Yijian sword is indeed strong, but the system subsidy must be stronger. And the tool for this trip is the stepping cloud Pegasus. My lord. Su Lianyue sat on the stepping cloud Pegasus. Her heart was slightly moved, and her cheeks turned slightly red, because the two of them were riding on the same Pegasus. They were very close, almost touching, feeling the pure masculine breath coming from Su Chang'e. Su Lianyue's heart was pounding, her heart was beating wildly, and her breathing was rapid. Suddenly, she remembered something in her heart, and her face suddenly became redder, but the next moment, she suddenly realized something, and a strong sense of inferiority suddenly rose in her heart. I am just a maid, how can I ask for so much? Su Chang'e didn't care about her, he was concentrating on driving the Pegasus. The Pegasus was very fast and flew quickly towards Tianhe City. About a few minutes after they left Tiantai Peak, a black-clothed death warrior escaped to the meeting hall and came to Du Sihai to whisper for a while. Oh. He took a woman with him. Du Sihai was delighted when he heard the news. He couldn't do anything in the sect, but outside, Su Chang'e had no say. Sir, why don't you let me go this time? That the assassin knelt down in front of Du Sihai and volunteered. Du Sihai stared at him and said in a deep voice, Yi, try to do it as quickly as possible. If you leave any clues, you don't have to come back. Yi nodded heavily. Don't worry, sir, I promise to succeed in no time. Chapter 69, If the Sky Falls, I Will Be There. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tianhe City, located in the west of the East Dao domain, it is vast and full of merchants. It is nearly 500 miles away from Taishan Dao sect, not far, but not too close. Su Chang'e rode on a Pegasus, took Su Lianyue, and galloped in the air for several hours before arriving. Blacksmith shop. Su Chang'e descended from the clouds, stepped into the city, and soon found the blacksmith shop. This blacksmith shop is located in the most prosperous area of the main street in the city. Su Chang'e looked around and saw that along the street, there were either iron shops or various iron and stone materials for sale. The blacksmith shop in front of him was a tall building with a plaque on the door with 3 vigorous and powerful characters on it, Jinghong Building. Before walking in, you Can feel a wave of burning fire coming towards you. There are also various sounds of knocking on iron. Obviously, the masters inside are busy and in full swing. Su Chang'e stepped in and saw a man in short sleeves hammering a piece of iron. He was sweating all over and his face was red from the fire. Do you want to buy weapons? The man in short sleeves stopped his work immediately when he saw someone coming and asked with a smile. Su Chang'e smiled and said, "What do you have?" As he spoke, his eyes looked back and forth on the shelves. He looked around and saw a dazzling array of weapons on the shelves, including knives, swords, guns, halberds, all kinds of weapons. There was a label under these weapons, with the name of the weapon written on it: Panlong knife, Kaishan axe, Ziyan sword. We have everything. Which one do you like? I'll take it down for you to try and see if it's handy. The man in short sleeves said politely. Su Chang'e swept his eyes over the shelves and soon found the target. It was a huge heavy sword, 3 meters long, 1 meter wide, and extremely heavy. Generally, only physical cultivators could wield such a huge sword. It was casually placed in the most remote position of the shelf, with a layer of dust on it, and the label below was, water-breaking sword. Su Chang'e's eyes lit up, and he immediately asked, "Shopkeeper, how much is this heavy sword?" The short-sleeved man heard it, and his eyes turned sharply. The heavy sword was not made by him, but was given to him as a gift by a good friend, but he studied it over and over again, but he couldn't figure out what was so good about this sword. It was not sharp, nor was it domineering, but it was just very heavy. In the end, he came to the conclusion, this is just a very ordinary heavy sword. He put it in the store for half a year and didn't sell it. Many people looked at the water-breaking sword once and didn't even look at it a second time. No one was interested. Ha ha ha, finally someone wants this piece of junk. The short-sleeved man was very happy. This heavy sword is just junk, but now someone finally paid for it. He looked at Su Chang'e and felt that this man was really a fool. Although he thought so, his face was calm. He said calmly, "Sir, you have good eyesight. This water-repelling sword is very heavy. Most people can't lift it at all. Only a young hero like you can match it. It's not expensive. Just one piece of low-grade spirit stone." The short-sleeved man really didn't shout high, "This is just junk." He felt that it was good enough to sell it for one piece of low-grade spirit stone. After saying that, he slandered in his heart, "I hope this fool can buy it." Hearing one piece of low-grade spirit stone, Su Chang'e's mouth corners slightly raised a weird arc, and then said calmly, "It's a bit expensive." He actually knew that the price offered by the short-sleeved man was not expensive, but he couldn't buy it all at once, otherwise it would definitely arouse his suspicion. Bargaining is a normal behavior when buying things. Hearing Su Chang'e bargaining, the short-sleeved man showed a look of regret, then bit his tongue, as if he had made a great decision, and said, "This is the first time for the guest to visit our store, so the discount is reasonable." Then 800 yuan. Su Chang'e didn't bargain again, and directly took out 800 spirit stones and handed them to him. After the transaction was completed, Su Chang'e left. After he left, the short-sleeved man looked at his back and sneered, "What a blind monk, 800 spirit stones can do anything, but buy a waste." On the other side, Su Chang'e walked on the street, feeling very happy. He was not in a hurry to chisel the sword, because there were too many people on the street. It would not be too late to talk about it after returning to the sect. Suddenly, Su Lianyue beside him couldn't help asking, "Sir, this sword is very ordinary. Why do you want to buy it?" Su Chang'e smiled faintly and said, "You will know later." Su Lianyue didn't say anything else. At this time, deep in the corner of the street, a man in black wearing a bamboo hat was staring at the two of them. Under the bamboo hat, the black man's eyes exuded violent murderous intent. This person is not someone else, but Yi. He stared at Su Chang'e like a lone wolf catching prey. As long as he finds an opportunity, he will pounce on it and bite the prey to death. Here, the Pishui sword has been obtained, and Su Chang'e will take Su Lianyue away. At this moment, a large group of people suddenly came down the street, shouting as they walked, "The elders of the Vajra sect are here, all irrelevant people, get out of the way. Otherwise, don't blame me for being blind." These people were all black-armored knights riding tall horses, holding a big sword in their hands, looking very majestic. They were surrounded by a sedan chair, which was carried by 8 tall and strong men. One could tell at a glance that the person in the sedan chair was terrifying. All the pedestrians on the street changed their faces in an instant and hurriedly moved away. The Vajra sect cultivates the physical body, and each physical body is extremely strong. Ordinary people dare not provoke them at all. Su Chang'e glanced at the sedan chair, ignored it, and left directly. If others don't provoke him, he won't make trouble out of nothing. But at this time, the curtain of the sedan chair suddenly moved, and a gloomy look swept out and lingered on Su Lianyue for a moment. Then, the sedan chair suddenly stopped, and a voice came out, "Little boy, come here." Immediately, a black-armored knight walked over respectfully. The people in the sedan said something to him, and a wicked light suddenly appeared on the face of the black-armored knight. Then he came straight to Su Chang'e, blocked his way, and said in a deep voice, "Boy, the maid next to you is very good. My family likes her very much. Hand her over and you can get out." Su Chang'e's eyes condensed. "What is this for, robbing a woman?" He sneered and said, "What if I don't agree?" "Disagree?" "Humph." The black-armored knight's face turned black, and he immediately waved to the large team. Many black-armored knights surrounded him, as many as 10, and instantly surrounded Su Chang'e. Shwa! Shwa! These black-armored knights drew out their swords one after another, and the blades were shining with cold light, extremely dazzling, as if they were going to kill people in the street. "Sir, I'm a little scared." Su Lianyue's face turned pale. For the first time, she remembered the days when she was punched and kicked, and the nightmare in her heart could not be shaken off. Su Chang'e smiled warmly at her and said, "Don't be afraid, I'll be there if the sky falls." Chapter 70 Explosion. Heavenly Realm Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Su Chang'e's words, Su Lianyue felt a surge of warmth and was moved. "It's good to have a husband." The black-armored knight was immediately angry and growled, Are you looking for death?" Su Chang'e ignored him and grabbed Su Lianyue's body and dragged her behind him. He stood in front of her like that, blocking the ferocious black-armored knights in front of her. Then he said calmly, "I'm looking for death. If you think you can kill me, you can try." "Ha ha ha, arrogant." The black-armored knight laughed. "My master just said that if you hand over this maid honestly, then he can show mercy and spare your life. But what did you let Grandpa hear? You are so arrogant, you deserve to be killed." Bang! The black-armored knight was ruthless and didn't say much. After he finished speaking, he took action directly. A huge sword slashed in mid-air, slashing fiercely at Su Chang'e's head. "Maybe I don't even need to slash, I'll die on my own." Deep in the corner of the street, Yi saw the Vajra sect's sword, and a trace of pity flashed across his black eyes. He thought to himself, the Vajra sect is a physical cultivation sect that focuses on tempering the flesh. Su Chang'e shamelessly provoked them, and he will definitely be chopped to death by the other party. In a flash, the black-armored knight slashed Su Chang'e with his sword. Bang! There was a loud bang, and dazzling sparks flew everywhere. The black-armored knight only felt like he was slashed on a stone. Su Chang'e's head didn't even break the skin, but his sword exploded on the spot. His arms were numb from the shock, and the powerful shock directly shook him off the horse's back. Ah! He fell to the ground fiercely, falling like a dog eating shit, in a miserable state. Dark Knight's eyelids twitched, and his pupils dilated. He couldn't believe it. What's going on? Isn't it impossible to practice this? Why is there such a terrifying body? In front of the large team, the black-armored knight's eyes suddenly dilated, his face full of disbelief. He said in horror, What kind of body is this? What kind of body is this? What does it have to do with you?" Su Chang'e didn't want to talk nonsense with him. The huge power in his body surged, and he raised 4 million pounds of power with one arm, and all exploded. Bang! This punch hit the black-armored knight's head hard, instantly smashing his skull to pieces. Red and white things splashed, and blood rained down. Plop! The black-armored knight fell straight to the ground, and there was no sound anymore. In an instant, the other black-armored knights took a breath of cold air and screamed like seeing a ghost. Hiss! 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 What kind of flesh is this? How can it be so terrifying? It can even knock the boss's head off with one punch. Just as he said this, Su Chang'e punched him again, directly hitting the black-armored knight in front of him. Bang! That the black-armored knight's face was smashed to pieces on the spot, and his head was directly pierced by a punch like a watermelon. Then he fell heavily to the ground without a sound. In an instant, the faces of the remaining few black-armored knights changed wildly, and they hurriedly retreated backwards. Want to leave? Can you get away? Su Chang'e took a step forward, activated the Taichu Shadow Ghost Step, and his figure appeared directly behind them, punching them several times in succession. Bang! 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 His fists were indestructible, and hitting these black-armored knights was like hitting fragile paper, one punch at a time. In less than a moment, all the black-armored knights were killed. Hiss! My God! Lianyue stared at this scene blankly, only to feel his brain buzzing, and felt that his cognition was overturned. Isn't Su Chang'e completely without any cultivation? How come, killing those black-armored knights is just like crushing ants? Damn! Su Lianyue was delighted. You are so awesome. Su Chang'e smiled slightly, then fumbled around on these black-armored knights for a while, successfully obtained 10 storage bags, and then walked to the sedan chair, his eyes like lightning, staring coldly at the sedan chair, and said in a cold voice, Elder of the Vajra sect, right? You dare to fancy my maid, are you tired of living? Suddenly, a gasp came from the sedan chair. The elder of the Vajra sect was so scared that he peed himself. His pants were soaked. He rolled and crawled out of the sedan chair and said, Sir, I was wrong. May I ask which sect you are from? I will visit you in a few days to apologize. Su Chang'e looked down and saw that it was an old man with a goatee. He was so scared that his face turned pale and bloodless. It's not necessary to wait a few days. I want you to apologize now. Su Chang'e said coldly. Yes, I was wrong just now. I hope you won't treat me like that. I was blinded by lust. I hope you will forgive me and forgive me. The elder of the Vajra sect's legs became weak and he burst into tears. Su Chang'e smiled coldly and said, I don't want such an apology. If you don't understand, you can die. What? The face of the elder of the Vajra sect turned even paler. He dared to raise his head and looked at Su Chang'e, and asked tremblingly, Senior, what do you want to apologize for? Take your life to apologize. Su Chang'e shouted coldly. The elder of the Vajra sect was shocked and suddenly understood, the other party wanted him to commit suicide. Humph, that when had he, an elder, suffered such a loss? At the moment, he was ashamed and angry. He snorted coldly, mobilized the power in his body, and slammed his palms forward, shouting, The trapped beast still fights, I will fight you. Boom, that the cultivation of Nirvana realm burst out instantly. You bastard. Su Lianyue didn't expect the old man to change his face suddenly, and his blood rose to his throat. Su Chang'e smiled coldly and said, You are really looking for death. Boom. He also blasted with a palm and went up to meet it. With a palm, the cultivation of the heaven realm burst out completely. Boom. Crack, that the palm power of both sides collided fiercely, like two huge waves colliding together, and the air instantly transmitted a sonic boom, like thunder, deafening. Sensing the power of Su Chang'e's palm, the face of the elder of the Vajra gate suddenly changed, and he lost his voice and said, Heaven. Heaven realm strongmen. Bang, Su Chang'e's palm directly pierced his arm, and then penetrated to his shoulder, and hit him fiercely all the way like a dead tree and rotten wood. The shoulder of the elder of the Vajra sect was directly removed, and it was shattered, with broken bones splattered and blood flowing. He spurted out a large mouthful of blood and flew backwards in a mess. He fell to the ground fiercely, and before he could get up, he felt a strong wind in front of him, and Su Chang'e's fist hit his head horizontally. He hurriedly took out a storage bag and asked, Senior, wait a minute, I have. Bang, Su Chang'e never talked nonsense. He punched his head to pieces, then snatched the storage bag from him and shouted coldly, If I kill you, won't your things still be mine? After that, he added another punch, and with one punch, he directly blasted the elder of the Vajra sect into a ball of blood mist. My lord, Su Lianyue threw herself into his arms, tears streaming down her face. My lord, you're fine, that's great, Lianyue was so scared of losing you. Su Chang'e only felt a warmth in his arms, it was tears. He patted Su Lianyue on the back, smiled faintly, let go, I'm fine, aren't I? Then, he came to the sedan bearers again, punched them one by one, and killed them all, deep in the corner of the street. And he watched this scene from afar. It took a long time for him to recover, and he shuddered violently. Hiss! Oh my God, he Su Chang'e, turned out to be a strong man in the heavenly realm, that he took a few breaths of cold air, and the promise he made in front of Du Sihai just now flew into the sky in an instant. He dared not move anymore, and ran away. Swoosh, that he fled out of the city quickly like a gust of wind. Who? Su Chang'e heard the whistling wind at the corner of the street, glanced sideways, and immediately found Yi. Du Sihai's dog, that he used the Taichu shadow ghost step, and in an instant he crossed 10 meters and appeared directly behind Yi. Where are you going?